It's strange how one night can destroy years of trust. I still remember standing in the rain that evening, my phone screen glowing in the dark. On it was a post from my girlfriend, Ava. It read, "A queen doesn't need to explain herself to anyone. Under normal circumstances, it would have been nothing, just another one of her dramatic posts." But this time, it hit differently, because the night before, Ava had lied to me about where she spent the night, and I already knew the truth. I stared at her post for a long time. The words pulsed like they were mocking me. My thumb hovered over the screen, and before I could stop myself, I took a screenshot. Then I did something I didn't think I'd ever do. I sent it to her dad, Mr. Collins, with a short message. "You might want to talk to your daughter. She didn't come home last night." It was impulsive, maybe even cruel. But betrayal burns deeper when it comes from the person you trusted the most. Ava and I had been together for 3 years. She was the kind of woman who could silence a room just by walking in. Charismatic, confident, always put together. She made people believe she had everything under control. I used to love that about her. But lately, something had changed. The girl who used to call me just to hear my voice started leaving my messages on read. The late-night talks turned into one-word replies. Her affection, that soft, unfiltered warmth, started feeling rehearsed. It's funny how your gut always knows before your mind does. A few nights ago, she told me she was staying at her best friend's place for a girls' night. I didn't question it. I wanted to believe her. But around 2 a.m., I woke up to grab water and saw her location still active on our shared app. She wasn't at her friend's apartment. She was on the other side of town, at a hotel. That's when everything inside me went cold. I could have called her right then, could have confronted her, but I didn't. I wanted to see how far she'd go. The next morning, she came home acting like nothing happened. Same smile, same soft kiss on the cheek, same, "Hey babe, miss me?" And I played along, because if she wanted to lie to my face, I wanted her to see just how convincing she could be when the tables turned. That night, she posted that queen quote, and that's when something inside me snapped. After I sent the screenshot to her father, I threw my phone on the couch and sat in silence. My heart was pounding, and my mind kept replaying every little red flag I'd ignored. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Ava, did you seriously send my post to my dad?" Me, "He deserves to know what his queen is up to." Ava, "Ethan, what the hell is wrong with you?" Me, "Wrong with me? You lied to me. You spent the night at a hotel." She didn't reply for 2 minutes. Then she wrote back, "Ava, you're paranoid. I was with friends. Stop making drama out of nothing." It was almost impressive how easily she lied. But she didn't know that I'd already seen the hotel security footage. The manager was a client of mine. I run a small IT firm that handles digital systems for a few local businesses. When I told him my girlfriend's name and the date, he confirmed it without hesitation. She'd checked in under her own name, and she wasn't alone. She was with Dylan, her ex. That was all I needed to know. The next day, Ava tried to act normal again. She came over with takeout, pretending everything was fine, but I couldn't even look at her the same way. "Ethan," she said, placing the food on the table, "can we not do this weird silent treatment thing? I'm tired." I looked at her, calmly. "Tired of what, Ava?" "Lying." Her face froze for a second, then softened into that fake smile she always used when cornered. "You're really overreacting. I told you it was just friends. Dylan was there, sure, but—" "Stop," I interrupted. "You don't need to lie anymore." Her lips trembled slightly, but she still kept up the act. "You went through my stuff, didn't you?" I laughed quietly. "I didn't have to. You leave trails everywhere." She looked furious now, like she couldn't believe I was calling her out. "You invaded my privacy, Ethan. That's toxic. Maybe I should leave until you calm down." I stared at her and said, "Go ahead, but just so you know, I already told your dad everything." Her face turned pale. "You didn't." "I did." The silence that followed was heavy. She looked like she was about to cry, but no tears came. She just stood there, shaking slightly, realizing that her perfect little image, the one she worked so hard to protect, was crumbling. Then she whispered, "You ruined me." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "No, Ava, you ruined yourself." That was the night everything changed. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame shook. I sat down, finally feeling the weight of what I'd done, not just exposing her, but ending something that once meant everything to me. I thought that would be the end of it, but Ava wasn't the kind of person who accepts consequences quietly. 2 days later, I got a call from one of my biggest clients, a law firm I'd worked with for years. The manager sounded uncomfortable. "Ethan, I don't know what's going on between you and your girlfriend, but she's been contacting some of our partners, saying you're unstable, that you're under investigation." My blood ran cold. "What?" I said, try and keep my voice calm. She sent them screenshots. Fake ones, I think. Some kind of messages implying you misuse client data. I told them I didn't believe it, but my stomach twisted. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was war. Over the next week, she went nuclear. She started posting vague stories about toxic men and betrayal. She told mutual friends I was controlling, that I'd hacked her phone, that I'd been emotionally abusive. It was like watching someone I used to love morph into a stranger. My sister Sophie called me one night. "Ethan, are you okay?" Ava called me earlier. She said you threatened her. I almost dropped my phone. "What?" I haven't even talked to her since she left. Sophie sighed. I figured she was lying, but you should be careful. She's angry, and she's trying to make you look bad. I took a deep breath. Yeah, I know. That night, I sat in front of my laptop and made a decision. I wasn't going to beg for peace. I wasn't going to defend myself against her lies. I was going to end this on my terms. I opened a new folder and started collecting everything. Screenshots, call logs, messages, the hotel footage, her fake accusations. I built a digital timeline of her betrayal and deceit. If she wanted to play dirty, I'd play smarter. What she didn't know was that revenge is best served with patience. And I was very, very patient. The next morning, I woke up to 20 missed calls. Most of them were from numbers I didn't recognize. A few from mutual friends. I ignored all of them. Then I saw a message from my business partner, Luke. "Ethan, you might want to check Facebook. It's bad." I opened the app, half dreading what I'd find. There it was, Ava's newest post. "When men can't control you, they try to destroy you. Stay safe, ladies." Blackheart. The comments were full of sympathy. People I'd known for years, people who'd once praised me, were now calling me every name imaginable: narcissist, abuser, psychopath. Ava had weaponized her image. The same charm that once drew people to her was now being used to poison my reputation. I sat at my desk, feeling my anger simmer beneath the surface. She'd taken it too far. Exposing the truth was one thing, but trying to ruin my entire life? That crossed the line. That was the day I decided I wasn't just going to defend myself. I was going to dismantle her little empire of lies, piece by piece. I started by contacting the people she manipulated, quietly, professionally. One of them was a manager of the hotel where she and Dylan had stayed. I asked him to send me the timestamp security footage again, this time with the watermark showing the date. He hesitated at first, but I reminded him of the confidentiality agreement our company had drafted for his business's data system. Within an hour, the file was in my inbox. Then I reached out to my lawyer friend, Mason, and asked him to review it. "I'm not planning to sue her yet," I said, "but I want everything documented." He looked at me for a moment. "Ethan, whatever you're doing, make sure it's clean. Don't stoop to her level." I smiled faintly. "Trust me, I won't. I'm just reorganizing the truth." The next step was subtle. Ava prided herself on being loved by friends, family, followers. She lived for validation. I didn't have to fight her directly. All I had to do was let people see the real her. So I created a new anonymous account. Nothing malicious, just factual. I began posting snippets of the truth. Screenshots of her messages to Dylan, her posts contradicting her own words, even a short clip from the hotel's lobby where she appeared laughing with him. I never mentioned names. I never said, "Ava, but the clues were obvious enough. It didn't take long before whispers started spreading. People began to notice inconsistencies in her story. A few of her own followers started questioning her. Wait, didn't she say she was with a friend that night? I thought she said she doesn't talk to her ex. The dominoes started falling. Meanwhile, Ava tried to act unbothered. She started posting pictures of herself living her best life, all smiles and filters, but her captions betrayed her. They went from confident to defensive. Sometimes people can't handle a strong woman. Fake screenshots can't destroy real queens. She was panicking. I could see it in every post, every desperate attempt to regain control of the narrative. And while she spiraled online, I focused on rebuilding what she tried to destroy. I reached out to every client she'd contacted with her lies. I explained everything calmly, professionally, and sent them verifiable evidence. Some were cautious, but most believed me. They'd known my work for years. They'd seen my consistency. By the end of that week, I'd regained nearly all my contracts. Ava's smear campaign had failed, but she didn't know it yet. That Friday, she showed up at my apartment. I wasn't surprised. I'd been expecting her. She stood at the door in a long coat, makeup perfect, pretending she was composed, but her eyes gave her away. "Can we talk?" she said softly. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to slam the door. The other part wanted to hear what excuse she'd come up with this time. I stepped aside. 5 minutes. She walked in like she still owned the place, her perfume filling the room with memories I didn't want. "I know you've been posting things," she started. "Those anonymous accounts? You think I wouldn't notice?" I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "I don't know what you're talking about." She glared. "Don't play dumb, Ethan. You're trying to ruin me." I tilted my head. "Ruining you? You already did that yourself. I'm just showing people what's real." Her voice cracked. "Do you have any idea how much I've lost because of you? Do you have any idea what you put me through?" I shot back. "You cheated on me. You lied to me. You tried to destroy my business. What did you think would happen? That I'd just let you walk away and smile for the camera?" For a moment, she looked like she might cry. Then, suddenly, she smirked, that same cold, calculated smirk I'd seen before. "You think you've won?" she said. "You haven't even seen what I can do." Then she walked out, heels clicking against the floor, leaving behind a faint scent of perfume and venom. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. I kept working, pretending to move on. But I knew Ava. She was plotting something. And I was right. 2 nights later, I got an email from an unknown address. The subject line made my chest tighten. "See you in court." Attached was a PDF, a legal notice claiming harassment and defamation. Ava was suing me. For a second, I couldn't breathe. It felt surreal. After everything she'd done, she was accusing me of defamation. I forwarded the document to Mason. He called me 5 minutes later. "Relax," he said. "This is mostly bluff. But she's trying to scare you into backing down." "Can she win?" "Not if we fight back smart. You have the evidence, right?" "Oh, I have everything," I said, my voice steady now. "Every lie, every message, every post." Mason paused and chuckled. "Then let's give her what she's asking for. Let's go to court." Over the next month, things got messy. Lawyers, statements, hearings. Ava was determined to play the victim to the very end. But here's the thing about truth. It doesn't need to shout. It just waits for the noise to fade. During the hearing, Mason presented everything. The footage, the messages, her fake posts, her attempts to damage my business. It was all laid out, piece by piece. Ava tried to act composed at first, but when the judge asked her to explain the hotel footage, her mask cracked. "That's not what it looks like," she stammered. "It was just what?" Mason pressed gently. "A friendly night at a hotel with your ex?" She froze. Everyone in the courtroom knew the truth. By the end of it, her case collapsed. The judge dismissed her claims and warned her about filing false accusations. I should have felt satisfied. But watching her walk out, humiliated and broken, didn't feel like victory. It just felt quiet, Still, I knew one thing. She'd never be able to hurt me again. Or so I thought. A week later, I received a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. It was me, leaving my office late at night. Someone had taken the photo from across the street. Under it, in handwriting I recognized instantly, were the words, "You started this. I'll finish it." For a moment, I just stared at it. Then, slowly I smiled. Because if Ava wanted another war this time, I was ready. And unlike before, I wasn't going to play defense. This time, she'd learned what real consequences felt like. Days after court hearing, I thought everything was finally over. But revenge, I learned, has a way of echoing. Ava's silence wasn't peace. It was planning. She'd lost her public image, her credibility, and the illusion of control. But people like her never accept defeat quietly. I started noticing small things. Anonymous messages, fake reviews targeting my company, even a few strange cars parked outside my building late at night. It wasn't paranoia. It was Ava's desperation clawing for attention. I didn't react. Instead, I prepared. Through a contact in IT security, I traced one of the accounts behind the fake reviews. It led back to her IP address. That was the final confirmation I needed. I didn't expose her immediately. I waited until she thought she was safe. Then I sent every piece of digital evidence. The fake profiles, IP traces, her own threatening message, directly to the investigator who'd already been looking into her online activities. 2 weeks later, she was called in for questioning. I didn't need to say a word. Her own actions spoke louder than anything I could have done. While she scrambled to explain herself, I quietly rebuilt my peace. The company grew faster than ever. Clients returned, and the people who once doubted me finally saw who she really was. I had no need to destroy her. She did that herself. By the time the authorities uncovered her charity fraud and public exposure began, I wasn't angry anymore. I'd already moved on. Ava lost everything she'd ever used against me. Her influence, her reputation, her control. And as I watched the storm she created finally consume her, I realized something simple. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's success. Weeks passed. Ava's silence should have comforted me, but deep down, I knew it was temporary. She'd always been addicted to control, and losing it would drive her mad. I focused on work, rebuilding my peace one day at a time. My company flourished again. I even started smiling for real. Not the forced kind I'd worn for months, but the kind that came from finally breathing freely. Then one morning, Luke walked into my office holding a newspaper. You might want to see this. On the front page was Ava's photo. Headline: Influencer faces fraud investigation over fake charity campaign. I blinked, reading the details. Turns out, Ava had been pocketing money from an online fundraiser she'd started to empower women. Her followers donated thousands. But the funds never reached the organization she claimed to support. The investigation had begun after an anonymous tip, one I may or may not have sent, backed by documents she'd accidentally left on my old laptop. Ava's perfect empire crumbled overnight. Sponsors dropped her. Followers turned against her, and the media tore through her carefully built lies. She tried to blame everyone, her manager, her ex, her family. But this time, no one came to her rescue. Not even Dylan. I didn't gloat. I didn't post about it. I just watched quietly as the truth did its work. One evening, I passed by the cafe where we'd first met. I sat at the same table, ordered the same coffee, and thought about everything. The love, the betrayal, the fire that nearly burned me down. Sometimes, closure isn't a conversation or an apology. It's watching someone face the consequences of their own choices while you've already moved on. As I stood to leave, I saw a message pop up on my phone from an unknown number. You win. I hope it was worth it. I didn't reply. I didn't need to, because for the first time in a long time, it didn't matter who won. What mattered was that I was free. And freedom, I realized, was the sweetest revenge of all. And with that, our story comes to an end. But the real story begins with your thoughts. What would you do if you were in this situation? Let me know in the comments.